Okay, you are watching this video because you are getting ready to make your keychain using OnShape. As you probably saw in the classroom earlier, OnShape is a web-based CAD program, and so we are going to learn here how to kind of set it up here in the on the internet and get things going. So first thing we need to do is in your web browser, you're currently watching this video in a web browser. I want to go up to the top here and you can follow my mouse. There's a little plus sign next to this tab. Yours may say something different, maybe like a YouTube video or something that we're currently watching, but we're interested in this plus sign here. Just go ahead and click on the plus sign to open up a new tab. So now we got this new tab here, and we're going to type something into this URL bar that's going to bring up the software. So what we're going to type in is OnShape.com. So I'm just going to type it in there. And once we've got it in there, you can go ahead and just click enter. That should bring up the website for OnShape. If you see anything like this pop up, just click the little X to get rid of it. We don't need to worry about that right now. And now we're here with the OnShape website. So each computer that students, that you're sitting at has a different sign-in for OnShape. And so I'm going to just quickly walk you through the process of signing in for your specific computer that you're currently sitting at. We're just going to go over to the right side of the screen. You'll see the little sign in option here. Click sign in. And now OnShape's going to bring us to the sign in sheet or sign in, website. We're going to change the email address. And so every email address will be mvthsengineering all together. But there's a number after each one, and that references the computer that you are sitting at. For instance, if you're sitting at computer 1, and you will know it's computer 1 because there will be a red 1 on the top of the monitor to the right. Each monitor, each station has a little plastic red number that's glued to the top of the monitor. So there will be 1, 2, 3, 4. In the first row, and the second row, there'll be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or 5, 6, 7, 8. Anyway, you'll see that little red number. So once you've typed in MVTHS Engineering, look at the number on top of your computer. And if it's a 1, you're going to type in 0, 1. If it's a 2, you'll type in 0, 2. And so forth. If it's 3, you'll type in 0, 3. And so you need to type in that number. I'm sitting at computer 1 right now as I'm recording this, so I'm typing in MVTHS Engineering 01, and then we'll do @gmail.com. Now the password is the same for every single computer, so this does not change. So we don't have to worry about that. It's the same password for every computer. So the password is capital S TUDENT exclamation point, which you get from holding down the shift key and the 1 key, and then the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all together. So capital S, the word student basically, exclamation point 1, 2, 3, 4. And we should be able to hit sign in. And now we are signed into OnShape and we're ready to get started. Okay, so now that we have OnShape open and we are in the actual drawing interface, let's get ready to set this up so that we can create the keychain. The first things you'll notice is we've got a bunch of tools that we can use up at the top here. We are only going to be using a couple of these, so don't worry about trying to understand what all these things do. You'll notice that there is some stuff happening on the left side of the screen here. There's some things happening on the right side of the screen. But don't worry, I'll tell you exactly where to click and what kind of things we need to do here. You'll also notice in the center of the screen there are these three rectangles. These are called planes. Think of them as 2D drawing surfaces, similar to like a piece of paper. There are places where we're going to draw. We're only going to actually draw on one of these, or we're only going to need one of them today, which is the front surface. So I'm actually going to just hide the other two. I'm going to hide this top one, and I'm going to hide this right one. In order to do that, we're going to come over to the left side of the screen, and you can see if I hover my mouse over the front, it kind of has a blue thing here, and then there's a little eyeball that shows itself. I'm going to click on that eyeball, and that's going to hide the front plane. I'm going to do the same for the right plane. And actually, I'm actually going to hide all three, and then I'm going to show the front plane again, just so you can see how you turn everything off, and then you can turn on what you need. So we are going to be using the front plane to start our drawing and draw our rectangle. You'll also notice there's another thing here called the origin. It may or may not be on. We want to have that showing for the beginning of our tutorial here. So if it's off, come on over to it and turn this little eyeball on. If it's already on and you can see this dot right here, no need to do anything else. So let's draw the rectangle. It's a two-dimensional rectangle that will be the basis for the shape of our keychain. To do this, come to the sketch button right here. We're going to click on it. This blue kind of shaded box here tells us that we need to select a plane. So we're going to choose this front plane. So we can bring our mouse anywhere in this front plane. You'll see how it outlines in yellow, saying it's able to be selected, and we'll click on it. When we click on it, you'll see this other box that shows up, says Sketch 1. That's telling us that we are now sketching on the front plane. And I'm going to right-click in it and just choose the View Normal to Sketch Plane. That just brings it directly in view for us, kind of like we're looking straight down onto a piece of paper. If you'd like to move this around a bit on the screen, you can do a couple of things. You can scroll in and out with the scroll wheel. Just simply scroll that wheel back and forth and it'll move in and out. If you'd like to kind of position it somewhere else on the screen, hold that scroll wheel down and then you can move this right, left, up, down, wherever you want it on the screen. Let's draw the rectangle. So we're going to come up here to this. There's a couple options here. You'll see a rectangle. We don't want we're going to use this little checkbox, or I guess it's a little arrow here. We're going to click on it. We get a couple of options here. I'm going to choose center point rectangle. I'm going to hover my mouse right over the origin point. You'll see it turns yellow. There's a little yellow rectangle around it. And then I'm going to click once and drag, and then click again and take my hand off of the mouse completely now. You'll notice that there's a box that has a number in it. When you see this, that means we can type something into this box. So I don't need to hit delete or click or do anything. So don't be touching you don't want to be touching the mouse at this point. Just type in the number 3.5 and hit enter. Now you'll notice again that this number has a box around it. Again, we don't need to click or do anything. All we need to do is type the number we want. The number we want is 1.5. And then hit enter. Now we've got the box to the size we want, 1.5 and 3.5. Those are in inches. The lines should all be black, and it should be centered on this origin point. That's basically the 2D shape that we need. Now we can go ahead and turn this into a 3D shape. Before we do that, just make sure we click the green check mark, and then we can move on to the next step. Okay, so we've got our rectangle. Now we're ready to turn this 2D object into an actual 3D object. One of the best things to do when doing this is right-click using the right-click button on the mouse, hold it down, and just turn your drawing slightly so that it's at an angle. This just helps to ensure that we can tell that it has actually been turned into a 3D object. we're going to come up to our extrude tool. It's this guy right here. Click on it. And just note the dialog box. The dialog box should say the same things that you see on my screen here. Solid should be selected and new. Now the blue box here says we need to select something. So we're going to click anywhere inside the face of the rectangle that we just drew. So I'm just going to bring my mouse over here. You'll see how this rectangle turns yellow. I'm going to click. Oh, try it one more time. There we go. Clicked it. Now you can see it's showing me that it's creating a 3D part, but it's raising up a little too far. We can see here it's saying that the depth of it is 1 inch. Well, I want to change that. So I'm just going to type in here 0.125. And then I'm going to hit enter. And you'll notice that this becomes a lot smaller, which is exactly what we want. And I can go ahead and click the green check mark. Now we've got our 3D part. This is actual 3D object that's 1.125 inches thick. And this is the basis for the keychain so that we can now write our names on it. Before we write our names on it, though, I do want to round off these edges right here instead of having these straight edges. To do that, we're going to come up here to this tool right here. It's called the fillet tool, not fillet. That's a steak. Fillet is a different type of thing. It's the rounding of edges on a corner. So we're going to click on the fillet tool. It'll bring up this dialog box. You can see the blue box here is telling us that we need to select some things. So what we need to select are these corners. And I'm zooming in and out with the scroll wheel, and I'm going to be rotating this by holding down the right click so I can get to each of these corners. So we'll start right here. I'll click on this corner. I'm going to click on this corner as well. You can see it's showing me how they are going to turn. I'm going to spin this around to this side. I'll click on this corner, and I'll click on this corner. You only want those 4 things selected. You should see 4 things right here selected, extrude of 1. There should only be 4 things there, okay? Now we can turn it again just so we can kind of look at it kind of more directly. And you can see the curve we are showing here. We can change that, and you can change it to your liking. The way to change it is this number right here in this dialog box. Right now it's set to 0.4, but if I set it to 0.1 and hit enter, well, that's 0.1. I want to make it 0.1, excuse me. You'll see how we get this little tiny curve here, not a lot. And if I were to set it to something like 0.8, you'll see it's a much larger curve. You can set this number to anywhere between 0.1 and 0.8. It's up to you. A nice number I like is 0.4. Gives it nice rounded edges. But any number between 0.1 and 0.4 is fine for me. You choose whatever you want. It'll work. Okay. Once you have found the number you like and you like the way this is looking, go ahead and click the green check. All right, now that we have our extrude with our fillets on the corners, we're ready to begin to add our text to this. Now we're going to be drawing the text on this surface, so that kind of top surface of the extruded object, which kind of means we don't need this front plane anymore. We really don't need the origin anymore. So I'm actually going to, whoops, hold on a second. We're going to come over here. And I'm going to just hide the origin by clicking on that little eyeball. And I'm going to hide the front plane by clicking on that eyeball. And we don't need to see those anymore. So they're gone now. Let's go ahead and click on the sketch option again. We're going to now choose the top surface here. So see how it turns yellow when I hover over it? Just go ahead and click. And we can see it says Sketch 2 right here. If I kind of turn that, you can see Sketch 2. It means we've got our Sketch 2 right here. And I'm going to, again, right-click and choose View Normal to Sketch Plane so we can look directly at it. And I'll manipulate it like we did before so I have a nice view of it. We're then going to draw our text. So I'm going to come up here to the text option. It's a little A here. Click on it. And I'm just going to draw a box kind of right in here. You don't want to connect to anything, so just be sure not to do that. See how that's showing up? I don't want that to kind of show up. In fact, yeah, let's just come right here, and I'll just draw this box like so. And now once I've clicked and drawn the box, it's giving me this pop-up so I can put my text in. So I'm just going to write Mr. L. You can write whatever you want in here, your name, a friend's name, whatever, as long as it is school appropriate. And then you'll notice here we've got some different fonts to choose from. For this to work, we actually need to use the Alerta stencil font, so make sure that is selected. Go ahead and click the green check mark, and right away you'll notice a couple of things. Number one, it's kind of big and coming off of the part here. We're going to fix all that right now. We're going to choose this dimension tool right here. You'll see it looks like two kind of arrows. We're going to click on that, click on this top line, click once and drag up, and then click again. And here we can actually type a new number in that box, and the number I want to type is 3. That's going to limit the width of this text box to 3 inches, that is, and that'll allow it to fit within this space. Now you'll notice it's kind of off to the side here. We're going to fix that as well. You'll see how my cursor is kind of those crosshairs. I don't want that. I want it to be the white arrow. So in order to fix that, I'm going to hit the escape key. And now it turns into the arrow. If that doesn't work on your computer, it may be because the caps lock key is functioning as the escape key. I know that sounds weird, but that may be an issue. Try hitting your caps lock key and see if that does not fix it. Once we have the white mouse or cursor here, now we can grab this, or actually, let's grab it by the corner, the little dot in the corner, and we can now move it in place. Okay, and so now I've kind of got it centered where I want it, but if you need to move it some more, just grab one of the corners. That's the best place to grab it, and then you can move it wherever you want and place it somewhere on the keychain. And just note that the text seems to disappear as you're moving it. That's not a big deal. Now let's just say you made a mistake and you want to edit this text to be something else. That's totally fine. We can easily do that. All you need to do is select any line of text. So I'm clicking that to select it. You'll see that little one saying I've selected it. And then I'm going to right click on it, and we'll come to the top of the menu. It says edit text. We'll select that. Now I can make this text something else if I need to. I'm choosing the word Arthur now. That is one of my dog's names. And you'll see how this changes to that word. But the width will stay the same, and that's what we want. I can always come back and recenter it, move it again by grabbing one of these corners. Once we have that set, we do need to draw the little circle that will be sort of the hole for the keychain. We'll come up to the top menu bar here. You'll see this circle. I'm going to click on it to activate it. And then I'm going to kind of zoom in on a corner, maybe right in here. Click and just drag out, and then click again to set that. Now you'll see that the box is showing up with a number in it. That means we can type a number directly in there. Again, take your hand off the mouse. No more clicking at this point. We just want to type in the number we need. I'm going to type in 0.25. And then I will hit enter on the keyboard. Now, we may or may not want that to be exactly right there. If we'd like to move it, just note again, we have the crosshairs as our cursor. We do not want that. If we want to select things to move them, we need to hit either escape or caps lock to turn it into the white arrow. And now we can grab it by the center and we can move it to wherever we want it to place it. So I don't know really. I guess maybe right here looks okay to me. That's where I'm going to place mine. Again, you can place yours wherever you want. Once you're happy with the placement of all these items, the text and the circle, we can go ahead and click the green check mark and get ready for another extrude to remove this material from the keychain. With our text and circle in place, it's time to use the extrude tool to remove that material. So let's go ahead, again, let's turn this, if it's not, just to a little bit of an angle like so. You're using the holding down on right click to do that. Let's grab our extrude tool, and if we just kind of highlight the face here, whoops. Let's actually undo that. I'm going to click that red X to undo that. Try this again, and I'm just going to kind of keep the mouse just so everything looks like this inside the A here. Now you'll notice that all the text and everything is popping up. We don't want that. We want to, instead of add here, we want this to say remove. So click the remove button, and you'll see how it's now taking that text and the circle away. That looks good to me, so we don't need to really deal with anything else here. We're going to go ahead and click the green check mark. So now we've extruded that material away, and that's really all we need to finish out the part in terms of design. What we now need to do is get it ready to be laser cut, and that requires a different step. If there's anything that needs to change in your design, you still can change it. If you need to change the text, then you can come over here to Sketch 2, double click on it, and now we're back in that sketch, and you can click on the text and edit it and go back and do that. So if there's anything that you still want to change, that you are able to change it. If you're unsure how to change it, just ask your teacher and they'll come and help you. So let's get ready to now get this part ready for laser cutting. Okay, so let's do the following things. We're going to come down to this little plus sign here. You'll see it down at the bottom of the screen. We're going to click on it, and some things are going to pop up. We want to choose the drawing option. That'll bring up a new pop-up menu. Doesn't really matter what we're seeing here. We want to choose the custom template option at the top. Just double check that all this looks the same to you. So ANSI, English, A, inches, all of the items on this side are the same. On this side, though, we want to make sure that where it says border, we want to change this to do not include. And then when we get this title block, we want that to also say do not include. So just double check that everything you're seeing on your screen looks just like what I have here on my screen. And when you're ready, go ahead and click OK. This is going to take a second to load in a drawing sheet. It'll look like a blank piece of paper. Here it is. And then we can see this little pop-up here that's got your part in it. I'm going to double click on my part and just kind of drag over into the middle of the piece of paper. And then I'm going to click once to set it. And you'll notice as I move my cursor to the left, it's kind of doing something weird. It's dragging something. Just hit the escape key or caps lock key if that's what's working on your computer to get rid of that. The last thing, or second to last thing really we need to do is you'll notice this circle has these crosshairs in it. We have to get rid of those for our laser cutting. This is a default process that OnShape does, so there's no other way to get rid of it except what we're about to do. So kind of hover over your drawing, right click, and you'll see this show hide at the top. Come on over and go all the way down to hide auto center marks and click on that. That should delete those center marks in the circle, and now the drawing is completely ready to export for laser cutting. To do that, we're going to come on down right here to the drawing tab, which is what we're in right now. You're going to right click on it and choose export. File name, you're going to choose, you're going to just write in your name. Okay? It can be first and last, whatever allows you to identify your file. Underneath that format, PDF should be selected. If it's not, you can just find it in this group of items here, but this should say PDF. We don't need to worry about show underlines, text normal, color, none of that, except options here in the download. We want to choose store file in Google Drive. It should say engineering@medford.k12ma.us. So select that and choose export. Now this is going to bring up some folders. We're going to choose the exploratory folder, so you just click on that. It'll say no folders found, and that's fine. We don't need any folders. As long as right up above here you see engineering and then exploratory, that means we're in the right spot, and you can just click the export button. You'll see that we're getting a little notice here that it's happening. Once you've done that, please let your teacher know so that they can just verify that the file is where it's supposed to be. Then let them know that you've finished, and there, depending on time, there may be another assignment that you need to work on, or we're going to get to laser cutting right now.